The office is quiet except for the low whir of the computer. Principal Whitlock sits hunched, eyes fixed on the glowing monitor. Security footage plays in grainy black and white. A white student darts into frame, spray can in hand. Red paint, arcing across the mural. Whitlock's jaw tightens. His fingers hover over the mouse, hesitating for a moment before clicking delete. The footage vanishes, the screen flickers, and for a split second, the student's smug expression freezes on the monitor. Whitlock exhales, almost relieved. He opens the trash folder, selects the file, and erases it completely. Down the hallway, Jada crouches behind the door, her phone camera recording every move. Her hands shake, breath shallow, but she doesn't stop. The red record light glows in her glasses, a silent witness. "Got you," she whispers, voice barely audible. Whitlock stands, stretching his back, unaware of the eyes on him. He glances at the door, sees nothing, and sits again, rubbing his forehead. Jada slips her phone into her pocket, heart pounding. The evidence is safe, but so is the risk. She bites her lip, thinking of Amara, thinking of what this could mean. Whitlock's shadow stretches across the linoleum, swallowing the light from the hallway. He straightens his tie, glances at the blank screen, and mutters, "Accidents happen. Better forgotten?" He doesn't notice the reflection in the monitor, his own face, tense and drawn, caught in the act of erasing truth. The office feels colder now, the air thick with the weight of what's been done. Jada backs away, careful not to make a sound. She presses her phone to her chest, the recording still running, the secret burning hot in her pocket. In that moment, 2 stories are written, one deleted, one saved. Systems protect their own, but secrets, once spilled, leave stains no polish can fix. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. The library is empty except for the soft scrape of a chair. Amara moves quietly between the stacks, searching for a textbook, but her eyes catch on a faded blue shirt hanging from a hook in the corner. She recognizes it, Mr. Ellis's old uniform, the janitor who vanished after last year's incident. She steps closer, fingers brushing the cloth, and finds an envelope tucked in the pocket. She hesitates, then slides it out, unfolding the letter inside. The paper is brittle, creased from being read and refolded too many times. The handwriting is careful, but tired. "They said I stole hope. I just cleaned their messes." Amara reads the words twice, her chest tightening. She remembers Mr. Ellis's quiet nods, the way he'd scrub hateful words off lockers before the first bell. Always gone before anyone could thank him. The letter shakes in her hands. She thinks of her own suspension notice. The same official, seal, the same cold language. 2 documents, 1 system. She tucks the letter into her binder, careful not to crease it further. As she leaves, a librarian glances up, offering a small, uncertain smile. Amara nods, her voice caught in her throat. The hallway outside feels longer than usual, the echo of her footsteps sharp against the floor. She passes a group of teachers, by the copy machine. One coughs, another looks away, pretending to be busy with a stack of worksheets. Amara keeps walking, the letter pressed flat against her books. A quiet ember burning in her bag. She doesn't speak, but her eyes say everything. In this building, stories like Mr. Ellis's are easy to misplace, easy to forget. But Amara knows. Now evidence matters. She walks out into the afternoon, the sky heavy above her, determined not to let this story disappear. The hallway is dim, lockers stretching in both directions, their metal doors cold to the touch. Amara stands on her own, chalk in hand, heart pounding. She glances over her shoulder, no teachers, just the quiet shuffle of sneakers down the corridor. She draws a small red fist, the same symbol from the mural just above the lock. Her brother, Malik, watches, eyes wide. Will they erase it? he asks. Amara nods, voice low. Maybe, but we'll draw it again. Across the hall, a pair of students copy her, their hands quick, nervous. One laughs, the sound sharp in the stillness. They can't clean all of them, he whispers. By morning, dozens of fists bloom across the lockers, some neat, some messy, all defiant. Teachers arrive early, buckets in hand, scrubbing at the chalk. The marks fade, but faint pink shadows linger where the red was strongest. Mr. Lee, the math teacher, pauses at one, his jaw clenched. He wipes it away, then glances up and meets Amara's gaze. He hesitates, then nods, just once before moving on. Malik adds his own handprint beside Amara's drawing, smaller, but just as bold. For Mr. Ellis, he says, voice barely above, a whisper. Amara squeezes his shoulder, pride and worry mixing in her chest. The principal walks by, shoes echoing on the tile, not noticing the chalk dust that clings to his soles. By the end of the day, the fists are gone, but the air feels charged, like a storm waiting to break. Students trade glances, silent agreements, passing between them. The rebellion is quiet, but it grows with every erased mark. Amara wipes her hands on her jeans. Chalk smears across her fingers and smiles, a promise that the message won't be washed away. Ms. Thompson waits until the hallway empties, the last bells echo, fading. She slips into the office, flashlight in hand, and kneels by the old filing cabinet. Her hands tremble as she unlocks the bottom drawer, sifting through folders thick with dust. Suspension records, year after year. Names she recognizes, Amara's, Malik's, so many others. She pulls out a stack, her breath catching as she reads the numbers. 85% black students punished for defiance. The word repeats, stamped in red page after page. She copies the files, the machine's green light flickering over her face. Each page slides out warm, a small act of resistance. She glances at the door, heart racing, but no one comes. The janitor's letter is tucked into her purse, its edges worn soft. She thinks of Mr. Ellis, of Amara, of every student who sat in her classroom, eyes wary, voices careful. She gathers the copies, tucking them into her bag, and stands. Her knees ache, but she feels lighter. The next morning, flyers appear on windshields and benches. Whose defiance? Whose system? Students pick them up, reading in clusters, eyes wide. A coach frowns, crumpling one in his fist. A guidance counselor smooths another, slipping it into her planner. Ms. Thompson walks through the parking lot, head high, watching as the papers spread. She meets Amara's gaze across the crowd. Neither speaks, but the understanding is clear. The flyers flutter in the breeze, a question no one can ignore. Inside, the filing cabinet sits closed, but the truth it held is out now. Impossible to file away again. Ms. Thompson returns to her classroom, the morning sun slanting across her desk, and for the first time in years, she feels hope flicker, stubborn and bright. 350 words. Phones buzz across the study hall, screens lighting up with the same image. Amara's science medal, still tucked away, and the vandalized mural in the background. Someone whispers, "It's everywhere." The hashtag #SureDisplayAmara flashes on every device. At a corner table, the principal's daughter, Lily, stares at her phone, guilt tightening her jaw. She hesitates, thumb hovering, then taps, "Share." A friend watches her, eyebrows raised. "You sure?" Lily nods, her voice thin. "It's time." The post spreads, picked up by students in every grade. In the cafeteria, clusters of kids huddle around their phones, eyes wide, thumbs tapping, repost. The room is filled with a quiet energy, a storm building without a sound. Malik sits with his friends scrolling through comments. Why isn't her medal in the case? Why only some names on the wall? He looks up, meeting Amara's gaze from across the room. She offers a small, grateful smile, her shoulders squaring. Teachers walk by, noticing the sudden hush, the way conversations pause when they approach. Mr. Lee lingers by the door, reading over a student's shoulder. He doesn't say anything, but his nod is slow, thoughtful. The principal passes the windows, his face tight as he glances inside, sensing the shift, but not understanding it. Screens glow brighter as the hashtag trends, the movement growing with every click. In the far corner, a shy freshman records a video, her voice steady. "We see you, Amara." The camera pans out, capturing 100 silent clicks, a storm the district can't contain. The bell rings, but no one moves right away. For a moment, the room feels united, every student holding a piece of the truth. Amara stands, her medal shining beneath her jacket, and walks out, the hashtag echoing behind her like a promise. The hum of the computer fills the office, fluorescent lights flickering overhead. Principal Whitlock sits rigid, eyes darting between the security monitor and the clock. The footage plays in silence. A white student, hoodie up, glances around, and sprays red paint across the mural. Whitlock's hand hovers, knuckles pale, before he clicks delete. The file vanishes. He exhales, but his relief is short-lived. The timestamp, 3:14 a.m., lingers on the screen, a stubborn reminder. Down the hall, Jada peers through a crack in the door, her phone camera steady. The red record light glows, reflecting in her eyes. She whispers, "This is proof," barely moving, her lips. Whitlock, unaware, opens the trash bin and erases the file completely. The screen goes black, but the echo of the student's laughter seems to hang in the air. Jada's breath catches. She clutches her phone, heart thudding, and backs away, careful not to make a sound. In the office, Whitlock wipes his brow, hands trembling. He mutters, "No one needs to see this," and straightens his tie, forcing his features into a mask of control. The camera lingers on his reflection in the monitor. A man caught between fear and authority, rewriting the story with a single click. Outside, the hallway is empty except for the faint sound of Jada's footsteps retreating. She ducks into the stairwell, pressing her phone to her chest. The evidence is safe, but the risk is real. In that quiet, 2 stories split, one erased, one captured. Whitlock's actions ripple outward, unseen but not unfelt. Jada's hands shake as she texts Amara, "I have it." The office door closes, the computer's glow fading. Yet in the darkness the truth waits, blinking red, ready to be seen. Amara slips into the janitor's closet after lunch, the scent of bleach and old paper thick in the air. She scans the shelves, searching for a missing notebook, but her gaze lands on a faded blue shirt hanging from a hook. It's Mr. Ellis's, the janitor who disappeared last spring. Curiosity tugs her closer. She brushes dust from the collar and notices a small envelope peeking from the pocket. Her fingers tremble as she pulls it free and unfolds the letter inside. The paper is brittle, the ink faded but careful. They see mops, not men. Amara reads it again, heart pounding. She remembers Mr. Ellis's quiet greetings, the way he'd scrub away slurs before anyone else arrived, always gone before the halls filled. The letter's edges are sharp, creased from being hidden and handled too many times. Amara thinks of her own suspension, the official notice still folded in her backpack. She presses the resignation letter flat, comparing the two. Different words, same weight. She slips Mr. Ellis's letter into her notebook, careful not to tear it. The closet feels smaller now, the air heavy with stories left behind. As she steps out, she nearly bumps into Ms. Carter, the substitute teacher, who pauses, brow furrowing. "You okay?" she asks, voice gentle. Amara nods, tucking the letter deeper into her bag. Ms. Carter lingers, watching Amara go, then turns away, her own thoughts troubled. In the hallway, Amara passes a group of students. One glances at her, then at the closet, suspicion flickering across his face. Amara keeps walking, the letter pressed close, a secret burning in her hands. She doesn't speak, but her resolve hardens. Some stories are too important to leave behind. She heads toward the library, determined to make sure. This one is finally heard. The hallway is dim, the lockers stretching endlessly under the flickering fluorescent lights. Amara stands alone, chalk in hand, her breath steady despite the weight of the moment. She kneels by her locker, tracing the outline of a red fist, the same symbol that had been painted on the school mural. The chalk dust rises softly, swirling, in the stale air like whispered defiance. Her younger brother Malik watches from the shadows, eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope. "Will they erase it again?" he asks quietly. Amara looks up, her gaze firm. "Maybe, but we'll draw it again." One by one, other students emerge from the darkness, their hands chalk-stained, their faces set with quiet determination. They move, silently, marking their lockers with fists, each stroke a small act of rebellion against the erasure they've endured. As dawn approaches, the janitor's footsteps echo down the hall. Teachers arrive, buckets and rags in hand, ready to scrub. Away the chalk. The marks fade under their efforts, but faint pink shadows linger where the red was strongest, stubborn as the spirit behind them. Mr. Lee, the math teacher, pauses at one locker, his jaw tight. He wipes the chalk away, then looks up, catching Amara's steady gaze. For a moment, his eyes soften, a silent acknowledgement passing between them before he moves on. Malik presses his small hand beside the fist, leaving a tiny print that speaks louder than words. "For Mr. Ellis," he whispers, voice barely audible. Amara squeezes his shoulder, pride and worry mingling in her chest. The principal's footsteps approach, heavy and unaware. His shoes grind the chalk into the floor, but the stain remains. Invisible, yet indelible. The fists may be erased, but the message grows stronger with every mark. Amara wipes her hands on her jeans, chalk smudging across her fingers, and smiles, a promise that their story will not be washed away. Ms. Thompson waits until the last student's voice fades from the hallway, and the building settles into after hours, quiet. She slips into the administrative office, flashlight in hand, the beam trembling as she unlocks the lowest drawer of the old gray filing cabinet. Her hands sift through stacks of folders, each labeled with years and names she recognizes. Amara, Malik, and so many others. She pulls out a thick file, her breath catching as she reads the statistics. 85% of suspensions for defiance belong to black students. The word repeats, stamped in bold page after page, each one a silent verdict. She sets the flashlight on the desk, its circle of light flickering over the files as she feeds them into the copier. The machine's hum fills the room, each warm page a small act of rebellion. Her fingers shake as she gathers the copies, tucking them into her bag alongside Mr. Ellis's letter, the edges worn soft from being handled too many times. As dawn creeps through the blinds, Ms. Thompson slips the copied pages into random lockers, her shadow long and thin on the polished floor. She pauses at Amara's locker, sliding an extra sheet inside. The morning brings a flurry of whispers as students discover the flyers. Whose defiance? Whose system? A few teachers frown, others look away. But one guidance counselor smooths a flyer and quietly slips it into her planner. Ms. Thompson walks through the parking lot, head high, watching as the papers spread from hand to hand, a ripple of truth that can't be stuffed back into a drawer. She meets Amara's eyes across the crowd, neither speaking, but both understanding what has changed. The flyers flutter in the breeze, a question that refuses to be ignored. For the first time in years, Ms. Thompson feels hope, a stubborn, bright ember flicker in her chest. Rain taps against the windows as students spill into the parking lot, hoods up and backpacks slung low. Sheets of paper cling to windshields, benches and bike racks, each one soaked, the words bleeding but still legible. Whose defiance? Whose system? Amara stands beneath the overhang, watching as classmates peel the flyers free, ink smudging across their palms. Some glance around, uneasy, while others read the message twice before tucking it into their pockets. The principal's daughter, Lily, pauses by her car, her fingers trembling as she lifts a flyer from the wiper blade. She stares at it, rain streaking her cheeks, then folds it carefully and slides it into her bag. Her friend calls out, "What's that?" Lily hesitates, voice low. "Just something we should talk about." The words hang between them, heavy and unresolved. Across the lot, a coach gathers a handful of soggy papers, jaw clenched, stuffing them into a trash can. A teacher in a yellow raincoat smooths out a flyer, reading the headline before slipping it into her folder. Amara meets Miss Thompson's gaze from across the puddles. The teacher's nod is small, but certain. Malik darts between cars collecting flyers and handing them to friends. "Don't let them throw these away," he says, voice steady despite the drizzle. Students gather in small groups reading aloud, voices rising as the rain falls harder. The flyers ripple in the wind, some torn, some pressed flat against the pavement, none ignored. The message spreads, carried by wet hands and whispered questions. Amara hugs her bag close, feeling the weight of Mr. Ellis's letter and the hope that maybe, finally, the truth is too loud to wash away. The house is quiet, shadows stretching across the kitchen table. Amara's mother sits with her laptop open, the glow pale against her tired face. She scrolls through her inbox, pausing at a new message. Subject line, "Pro bono, no headlines." She hesitates, then clicks. The email is brief. A black woman's name, a law firm logo, and a single promise. "I believe you. Let's fight this together." Amara stands in the doorway, arms folded, watching her mother's shoulders relax for the first time in days. "Is it real?" she asks, voice barely above a whisper. Her mother nods, eyes shining. "It's real." She prints the email, the paper warm in her hands. Amara's science medal sits beside the printer, catching the light. Her mother places the printout next to it, fingers lingering on both. Down the hall, Malik peeks in, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "What's going on?" Amara kneels, showing him the email. "We have help now," she says, her voice steadier than she feels. Malik grins, hope flickering across his face. "Does this mean you get your medal?" Amara shrugs, a small smile. "Breaking through. Maybe it means more than that." Her mother dials the number at the bottom of the email, hands shaking just a little. The phone rings, then connects. "Thank you for reaching out," the lawyer's voice says, calm and direct. "We'll make sure they hear you." Amara listens, heart pounding, as her mother explains everything. The mural, the suspension, the letters, the flyers in the rain. The lawyer's reassurance is quiet but firm. "You're not alone." When the call ends, Amara tucks the printout into her folder next to Mr. Ellis's letter. She glances at her medal, finally letting herself hope. The house feels less heavy, the future less impossible. The school lobby buzzes with the low hum of voices and the tap of shoes on tile. Amara stands near the trophy case, her medal hidden in her backpack, watching as students gather in small clusters, phones in hand. One by one, they tape printed tweets to the glass screenshots of Display Amara trending, photos of the mural's red fist, snapshots of the flyers in the rain. The glass, once spotless, is now a collage of digital rebellion. Lily, the principal's daughter, approaches quietly. She hesitates, then presses her own tweet against the case. She earned it. Let them see. Her hand lingers, knuckles white. Before she steps back into the crowd, Principal Whitlock rounds the corner, his face tightening as he sees the display. He peels a tweet from the glass, the tape snapping sharply. Students watch, silent but unyielding. He tries to clear the case, but for every post he removes, another appears. A sophomore with bright blue hair slips a photo of Amara's medal. Into the center, her eyes meeting Amara's for a heartbeat. "It belongs here," she says, voice steady. Teachers pass by, some frowning, others pausing to read. Mr. Lee stops, adjusts his glasses, and nods once at Amara before moving on. The crowd grows, the air thick with anticipation. Whitlock's hands begin to tremble as he rips down another tweet, his motions growing frantic. The case, meant to celebrate achievement, now reflects a movement too big to contain. Amara steps forward, her reflection merging with the sea of faces in the glass. She doesn't say a word, but her presence is enough. The last tweet left on the case is a photo of her medal, shining beneath the fluorescent lights, viral, undeniable, and finally seen. The morning sun pours through the entrance as a new janitor whistles, pushing his cart down the main hallway. He's young, white, cheerful, humming a tune as he buffs the trophy case. His rag squeaks against the glass, wiping away fingerprints and tape residue, but the ghost of the hashtag collage still lingers in faint outlines. Students pass by, some glancing at him, others ignoring the change. Amara pauses at the end of the hall, watching. She catches his eye. He offers a broad, practiced smile, nodding as if nothing unusual has happened. Principal Whitlock strides past, his gaze fixed ahead, jaw clenched. He avoids looking at the new janitor, but his steps falter when he notices a printed copy of Mr. Ellis's resignation letter taped to the staff bulletin board. The words are bold, unmistakable. They see mops, not men. Whitlock's face flushes as he rips the letter down, crumpling it in his fist. The janitor glances at the principal, then quickly turns away, focusing on his work. He buffs the glass harder, but the streaks remain, stubborn as memory. Miss Thompson walks by, pausing to hand the janitor a stack of recycling. "Welcome," she says, voice soft but pointed. He nods, a bit uncertain, and takes the papers, eyes darting to the students who watch the exchange. Malik, backpack slung over one shoulder, lingers nearby. He catches Amara's gaze, then looks at the janitor, his expression unreadable. The hallway feels different now, the air charged with something unresolved. The new janitor whistles again, but the tune is quieter, less certain. Amara turns away, the resignation letter pressed flat in her notebook, determined not to let the past be erased so easily. The case gleams, but what it reflects can't be polished away. Late at night, the glow of computer screens lights up teachers' living rooms. Across the district, an email lands in every inbox, subject line: urgent, review of suspension practices. Ms. Thompson sits at her kitchen table, reading the message twice. Her fingers tap the edge of her mug, nerves prickling. The memo is brief, effective. Immediately, all administrators must reevaluate disciplinary actions. Data shows disproportionate impact. Further guidance to follow. She exhales, a small, tired laugh escaping. On her phone, group texts buzz with questions and disbelief. "Did you see this? Is it real change? About time." At the same moment, Principal Whitlock reads the same memo in his darkened Itsu office. He stares at the screen, jaw set, then deletes the message without replying. The notification icon lingers, a stubborn reminder he can't quite erase. He closes his laptop harder than necessary, the sound sharp in the empty room. Across town, Amara's mother checks her phone and smiles for the first time in days. She shows the memo to Amara, who reads it silently, hope flickering in her eyes. Malik leans over her shoulder, whispering, "Does this mean they'll stop?" Amara shrugs, cautious but lighter. In the teacher's lounge the next morning, staff gather in small groups, voices low. Some shake their heads, skeptical, while others share tentative smiles. Ms. Thompson stands by the window, sunlight warming her face, and catches Amara's eye as she passes in the hallway. They exchange a nod, quiet but full of understanding. The memo's words ripple through the school, subtle but undeniable. For the first time, the system feels like it might bend, even just a little. Ms. Thompson saves the email, her reflection on the screen steadier than before. Change, it seems, has finally knocked on the door. Lily sits cross-legged on her bedroom floor, the glow of her laptop painting her face in pale blue. Her fingers hover over the keyboard, hesitating before she logs into her anonymous account. Fist off truth. She uploads the deleted security footage, heart racing, and types a single line. This is what they tried to hide. The video posts, and within minutes, notifications explode. Comments pour in. We see you. Finally, the truth. No more hiding. She leans back, exhaling shakily, listening for footsteps in the hallway. Downstairs, Principal Whitlock paces, phone pressed to his ear, voice tense and clipped. Lily mutes her laptop, but the flood of messages continues. Her profile picture, a chalk fist, stands out in every repost. She scrolls through the reactions, her hands trembling, knowing she's crossed a line she can't uncross. A text pops up, from her best friend. Was that you? Lily hesitates, then replies, It had to be. She blocks her father's number, jaw set, and deletes every family photo from her gallery. The weight of secrecy presses down, but she doesn't regret it. She remembers Amara's steady gaze in the hallway, the flyers in the rain, the way students rallied around a truth no one wanted to see. In the morning, Lily walks into school, head high, eyes meeting Amara's for the first time. No words pass between them, but the understanding is there. A silent alliance. The footage spreads, impossible to contain. Teachers whisper, students watch, and the system trembles. Whitlock storms past Lily in the hallway, not recognizing his own daughter behind the mask of the account that changed everything. Lily logs out, closes her laptop, and lets herself breathe. For the first time, she feels seen, not as the principal's daughter, but as someone who chose to do what was right. Dawn breaks with the rumble of tires on gravel as a news van pulls up outside the school. Reporters spill out, cameras slung over shoulders, voices low and urgent. The mural's red fist glows in the early light, drawing them in. Amara stands, at the edge of the crowd, medal around her neck, jacket zipped tight. She watches as a reporter kneels, adjusting her lens to capture the mural's details. "We're live in 5, someone calls. Teachers cluster near the entrance, some nervous, others quietly proud. Mr. Lee wipes his glasses, glancing at Amara with a nod of encouragement. Principal Whitlock arrives, face set, and waves reporters away. "No comment," he says, voice clipped. The cameras ignore him, focusing instead on the students gathering near the mural. Malik squeezes Amara's hand, whispering, "They're here for you." She squeezes back, steady despite the flutter in her stomach. A microphone finds its way to Amara. The reporter asks, "How does it feel to finally be seen?" Amara hesitates, then answers softly, "It's not just about me. It's about everyone who's ever been told they don't belong." Her words hang in the chilly air, picked up by every camera, every phone. As the broadcast begins, students cluster behind Amara, their faces determined. The mural's fist is a backdrop, bold and unyielding. The principal lingers at the periphery, out of focus, his authority diminished. Ms. Thompson stands with the other teachers, her smile quiet but proud. The news segment ends, but the cameras keep rolling, capturing the crowd's energy. Amara's medal glints in the morning sun, the mural's colors vivid behind her. The story is out now, impossible to take back. As the van pulls away, Amara feels the shift, a new chapter beginning, the school forever changed by what dawn has revealed. The conference room is silent, sunlight slicing through half-closed blinds and casting long lines across the table. Principal Whitlock sits alone at the head, a stack of suspension letters spread before him. He shuffles the papers, hands unsteady, eyes fixed on the names Amara, Malik, so many others. Each letter feels heavier than the last. The air is thick, the only sound the faint hum of the building's vents. An email alert blinks on his laptop. Emergency meeting attendance required. He doesn't open it right away. Instead, he stares at the empty chairs around him, remembering the boardroom packed with voices, the questions he couldn't answer, the evidence he couldn't erase. Down the hall, footsteps echo, teachers gathering, students whispering, the world moving on without him. Whitlock's jaw tightens. He picks up a letter, reading the official language, but the words blur. He sets it down, rubbing his temple. The sunlight catches dust motes drifting in the air, swirling above the table. remnants of a system that once felt unshakable. He glances at the clock. Minutes crawling by. The weight of waiting pressing down. A secretary passes the doorway, glancing in but not stopping. Her eyes flicker with something like pity, but she moves on. Whitlock's phone vibrates with another email, then another. He ignores them. Instead, he looks at the wall where his framed certificate used to hang, a faint outline the only trace left. He closes his eyes, breath shallow, and for a moment, the room feels even emptier. The world outside grows louder. Voices rising, footsteps, marching, a new order taking shape. Whitlock sits in the stillness, surrounded by the evidence of his choices, the sunlight exposing every flaw. The meeting will begin soon, but the verdict is already written in the dust. Camera crews wheel tripods into the boardroom, cables snaking across the floor as students and teachers file in, faces tense with anticipation. The red recording light blinks on, bathing the room in a quiet urgency. Amara stands near the front, her medal tucked beneath her collar, fingers brushing the cool metal for reassurance. Ms. Thompson adjusts her scarf, slipping the janitor's letter deeper into her purse. Principal Whitlock sits at the table, arranging his papers with stiff, deliberate motions. His hands falter when he catches his own reflection in the trophy case's glass, the image distorted by the glare of the camera lights. A student in the back raises her phone, whispering to a friend, "It's all streaming now." The crowd settles, a collective breath held. Lily slips into a seat along the wall, her eyes flicking between her father and Amara, guilt and resolve battling in her expression. The board members take their places, faces unreadable, pens poised above notepads. The hum of equipment and the soft shuffle of feet fill the space, every sound amplified by the tension. A technician signals, "We're live." The room seems to shrink, every gesture and glance magnified by the lens. Whitlock's jaw tightens as he scans the crowd, the red light reflecting in his glasses. Amara lifts her chin, meeting his gaze for a heartbeat before turning to face the board. Ms. Thompson squeezes her shoulder as she passes, a silent show of support. The camera pans across the room, catching the nervous energy, the hope, and the quiet fear. In the glass of the trophy case, the old winners' faces blur with the new generation standing before them. As the live stream rolls, the ghosts of the past hover in the corners, watching as the system prepares to answer for itself. The board president raps the gavel, the sharp sound slicing through the room. Every chair shifts as attention snaps forward. Amara sits upright, medal hidden beneath her collar, hands folded tight in her lap. Principal Whitlock's chair creaks as he leans forward, eyes darting between the board members and the crowd. Amara's lawyer unzips a folder, the teeth of the zipper grinding out the only noise as she lays out documents in a careful row. The board president clears her throat. "We're here to address the recent events involving student discipline and the mural." Her words hang, heavy and official. A flashback flickers in Amara's mind. Mr. Ellis, the janitor, scrubbing at a locker, resignation letter folded in his back pocket. Now, that letter sits on the table, its presence a silent accusation. The lawyer's nails tap the wood click, 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 a metronome counting down to something inevitable. Whitlock's fingers drum an uneven rhythm on his stack of notes. Sweat beading at his temple. A teacher in the second row coughs, shifting in her seat. Lily glances at her father, worry etched across her face. The board secretary scribbles a note, pen scratching paper. Amara's lawyer speaks first, voice even. "We submit this letter as evidence of a pattern." She slides the document forward, her eyes never leaving Whitlock's. The board president nods, lips pressed thin. Whitlock opens his mouth, but the board president holds up a hand. "You'll have your turn." He closes his folder, jaw clenched. The tension in the room is electric, every movement deliberate, every silence loaded. Amara's heart thuds in her chest, but she meets the gaze of each board member, refusing to look away. The gavel rests on the table, its echo fading, but the sense of reckoning lingers, thick and inescapable. Miss Thompson stands, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands as the board president gestures for her to speak. She glances at Amara, then unfolds the janitor's letter, her voice catching on the first words. "You see my skin, not my soul." The room grows still, every eye fixed on her. Principal Whitlock's pen slips from his fingers, rolling across the table. It lands by Amara's feet. She bends to pick it up, ink smearing her thumb, and sets it quietly in front of him. He doesn't meet her gaze. Ms. Thompson continues, her words growing steadier. "This letter. It isn't just about one man. It's about every student who's ever been told they're too loud, too proud, too much." She pauses, breath shaky. "We teach them to speak up, then punish them when they do." A board member shifts in her seat, folding her arms tight. The lawyer nods, lips pressed together. From the back row, Lily presses her hands together, knuckles white. Amara's heart pounds, but she keeps her head high, the ink stain on her thumb, a quiet badge. Whitlock fidgets, adjusting his tie, eyes fixed on the table. The janitor's letter sits between them, its creases stark under the fluorescent lights. Ms. Thompson's voice softens. "We can't keep pretending this is about rules. It's about who gets to belong." The board president leans forward, the weight of the moment pressing down. Ms. Thompson's last words hang in the air, fragile but unbroken. "We owe them more than apologies. We owe them change." The room holds its breath, the only sound the faint hum of the live stream. Amara meets Ms. Thompson's eyes, gratitude and resolve passing in a silent exchange. The truth finally spoken refuses to fade. A sophomore rises from the second row, chalk dust still clinging to her fingertips. She holds up a stack of photos lockers marked with red fists, handprints layered over old scratches. Her voice is steady, but her hands tremble. "You tried to wipe us away. We just kept coming back." She passes the photos to the board, each image a quiet act of defiance. The board members exchange uneasy glances, one clearing his throat, another tapping her pen against a notepad, the sound sharp in the hush. Lily sits in the back, fists clenched in her lap, nails digging crescents into her palms. She glances at Amara, then at her father, her jaw set. A teacher by the window leans forward, eyes shining with something like pride. The sophomore continues, "We drew those fists for Mr. Ellis, for Amara, for everyone who got erased." She looks down, blinking, hard, then adds, "We're not invisible." Whitlock shifts in his seat, lips pressed thin. He starts to speak, but the board president raises a hand, silencing him. The photos move down the table, each board member pausing to look, some longer than others. The lawyer nods, her approval, quiet but unmistakable. A ripple moves through the room as students watching the live stream begin to comment. "We see you. We're with you." The sound of notifications is a soft chorus, growing louder as more join in. The board president clears her throat, voice tight. "Thank you for your courage." The sophomore returns to her seat, wiping her hands on her jeans, leaving faint red streaks. Amara catches her eye and nods, a silent promise that their message landed. The room feels different now, charged, unsettled, but awake. The lawyer stands, remote in hand, and clicks the projector to life. The deleted security footage fills the screen, bright and undeniable. The white student's face is clear. The spray can arcs red across the mural. Principal Whitlock's jaw tightens, his face bathed in the blue light. The boardroom is silent except for the faint whir of the projector. Amara's mother squeezes her daughter's shoulder, her grip steady. The lawyer's voice cuts through, the hush. "This is what was hidden. This is what was erased." A gasp ripples through the audience. Ms. Thompson covers her mouth, eyes wide. A board member leans forward, glasses slipping down her nose as she squints at the evidence. The principal shifts in his seat, hands gripping the arms of his chair, knuckles white. The lawyer continues, "We don't need more words. The facts are here." Amara glances at her medal, feeling the weight of every moment that led to this. The board president's pen hovers above her notepad, frozen. Lily watches her father, her expression a mix of shock and something like disappointment. A teacher in the back whispers, "It's all there," voice barely audible. The footage ends, the screen fading to black. The room stays quiet, the truth too bright to ignore. Whitlock tries to speak, but the words catch in his throat. The lawyer turns off the projector and faces the board. "We ask for accountability. We ask for justice." The board president nods, her face pale. The moment hangs heavy and final. Amara's mother lets out a slow breath, her hand never leaving her daughter's shoulder. The old stories have been replaced by what everyone has now seen. The facts, once hidden, are now impossible to unsee. Principal Whitlock fumbles for his pen, the plastic barrel slipping in his damp grip. He tries to write, but the ink scratches uselessly across the page, leaving only faint marks. Sweat beads on his forehead as he glances at the board, searching for support, but finds only blank faces and averted eyes. The lawyer slides a thick suspension report across the table, the pages fanned out to reveal the numbers. 85% of those punished are black students. Whitlock's fingers twitch as he flips through the data, his voice faltering. There must be an explanation." A board member leans back, arms crossed, gaze steady. "We've heard enough." The words land with finality. Whitlock reaches for his water, but his hand shakes, splashing droplets onto the report. The stain spreads across the page, blurring the numbers but not erasing them. He looks up, throat tight, and tries again. "We followed the handbook. We—" His words trail off as the board president raises a hand, silencing him. In the back, Lily lowers her eyes, her face pale. Miss Thompson folds her hands, knuckles white. Amara sits, perfectly still, the ink stain on her thumb a quiet reminder of everything at stake. The lawyer's expression is calm, but her eyes are sharp. The facts are clear, the pattern is clear. The livestream chat floods with comments. No more excuses. "We see the truth." Whitlock's pen rolls off the table, clattering, to the floor. No one moves to pick it up. The board president closes her folder, the sound echoing in the charged hush. "We will deliberate." Whitlock sits back, shoulders slumped, the evidence spread before him, the power he once held slipping away with every passing second. Amara rises from her seat, the chain of her medal catching on the edge of the microphone as she steps forward. The room is utterly quiet, every eye fixed on her. She takes a steady breath, fingers brushing the engraved metal at her collar. "You suspended my body," she says, voice clear but soft. "But not my mind." Her words settle over the board like a challenge, not a plea. A board member blinks, surprised by the calm certainty in her tone. Ms. Thompson sits straighter, pride flickering across her face. Lily's eyes glisten, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Principal Whitlock stares at the table, jaw clenched, unable to meet Amara's gaze. Amara continues, her voice unwavering. "I did the work. I earned this medal. You can take away my place in the hallway, but you can't take what I've accomplished." She lifts the medal so the room and the live stream can see it glint in the harsh light. The trophy case's glass fogs as the tension in the room thickens, the air almost electric. A teacher's phone buzzes with a notification. Display Amara is trending. The board president glances at her own screen, lips pressed tight. Amara lowers the medal, her posture steady, her dignity unshaken. "I'm not asking for permission to belong," she finishes. "I already do." The board sits in stunned silence. The only sound the faint hum of the live stream equipment. Amara steps back, the medal settling against her chest, her head held high. The principal's daughter wipes away a tear, her shoulders shaking with quiet relief. The moment lingers, a shift you can feel but not name. Amara's medal, once hidden, now shines in the open, a symbol no one can deny or erase. The board president lifts her hand, eyes scanning the table. All in favor? One by one, Hands rise. Guilty, guilty, guilty. The words are quiet, almost gentle, but they land with the weight of a verdict long overdue. Whitlock's chair screeches as he pushes back, the sound sharp in the hush. He stands, face drained, and gathers his papers with shaking hands. Students outside the boardroom press against the glass, watching every move. A cheer rises from the hallway as the decision is announced, the sound muffled but unmistakable. Malik rushes to the window, palm pressed flat against the glass, leaving a small, hopeful print. Amara meets his eyes, her own shining with something like relief. The board members close their folders, the tension in their shoulders easing. Ms. Thompson lets out a breath she's been holding for weeks. Lily sits motionless, tears slipping down her cheeks, her father's retreating figure reflected in the polished floor. The principal walks out, shoulders slumped, the stack of suspension letters clutched to his chest. Teachers exchange glances, some nodding, others simply watching in silence. The hallway fills with students, chalk dust swirling under their feet as they celebrate. The old order has cracked, the echo of the vote ringing through corridors once ruled by fear. The boardroom empties, sunlight pouring through the windows, catching on the empty chair at the head of the table. Amara stands in the doorway, metal gleaming, her presence filling the space. The verdict is final, but the real change is in the faces of those who witnessed it, in the hope that now fills the halls. The school, for the first time, feels like it belongs to everyone. The echo of justice lingers, refusing to fade. The hallway is bright with afternoon sun as Amara approaches the trophy case, her medal no longer hidden but displayed proudly around her neck. Students gather, their voices hushed, watching as the glass doors are unlocked for the first time in months. A new janitor, young and black, polishes the shelves with careful, deliberate strokes. He glances at Amara, offering a nod that carries both respect and understanding. She returns it, her heart pounding with something like pride. Lily stands nearby, her hand resting on a plaque where her father's name has been quietly removed. She traces the empty space, then looks up at Amara, offering a small, genuine smile. Teachers line the corridor, some with arms folded, others with hands clasped, all witnessing the moment. Mr. Lee steps forward, clearing his throat. "It's time," he says softly, and the crowd parts to let Amara through. She lifts her medal, placing it gently on the velvet shelf beside trophies from years past. The glass reflects her face, Malik's handprint, and the mural's red fist. Painted boldly on the wall behind, the case, once a symbol of exclusion, now shines with new meaning. The janitor closes the doors, locking them with a quiet click. The crowd exhales, the tension of old battles finally easing. Students press their palms to the glass, leaving smudges and fingerprints that join Amara's. The hallway fills with the sound of laughter, relief, and whispered congratulations. Lily wipes her eyes, then joins the others, her own reflection merging with theirs in the polished surface. As Amara steps back, the case gleams in the sunlight, holding not just medals and names, but the promise of a future where every achievement is seen and celebrated. The reflection is changed forever, and so is the school. Amara's name flashes across the bottom of every TV screen, her face steady and composed as anchors announce, "National Science Winner Breaks Barriers." In living rooms, families pause mid-breakfast, spoons hovering, eyes fixed on the screen. At school, students gather around phones and tablets watching the replay. Her science medal glints under the studio lights, brighter than any anchor's practiced smile. The camera lingers on her expression, calm, dignified, unflinching. A reporter asks, "How does it feel to finally be recognized?" Amara's answer is measured, voice clear. "It feels like the world is finally listening to what's always been here." Her words echo in classrooms where teachers hush their students, and in homes where parents share quiet looks of pride or regret. Malik sits cross-legged on the living room floor, grinning, his friend sending him screenshots of his sister's interview. Ms. Thompson stands by the faculty lounge TV, hand over her heart, whispering, "She did it." In the school cafeteria, the usual chatter fades as the broadcast plays. Even the lunch staff pause, their hands stilling over trays, to watch Amara's face fill the screen. The principal's office remains dark, blinds drawn. Inside, Whitlock sits at his desk, the news playing on mute, unable to look away. The segment ends with a slow zoom on Amara's medal, the camera capturing every detail. The engraved name, the polished surface, the proof of what the trophy case once refused to display. The world finally sees what was always there, undeniable and earned. The silence that once surrounded her achievement is gone, replaced by a quiet, collective awe. As the news fades, students and teachers alike carry the image with them. A new standard, a new story, and a dignity that can't be overlooked again. Principal Whitlock's office is stripped bare, sunlight falling in sharp rectangles across a desk that once commanded respect. The nameplate is gone, leaving only a faint mark on the polished wood. He sits alone, scrolling through old emails on his phone, each one a reminder of decisions that now echo in the emptiness. Outside, the hum of the school day continues, but no one knocks on his door. The inbox is filled with unread messages, board memos, parent complaints, news alerts about Amara's award. He deletes them one by one, but the weight remains. Later he walks through town, shoulders hunched. Neighbors spot him and cross the street, conversations dropping to murmurs as he passes. A former PTA president pretends not to see him, her eyes fixed on a distant storefront. Children glance up, then quickly look away, sensing the shift even if they don't understand it. Whitlock's authority, once so solid, has dissolved into a heavy, public solitude. At home, he sits by the window, watching the world move on. He scrolls through photos on his phone, staff meetings, school assemblies, the old mural before the fist. Each image stings, a silent accusation. He tries to draft a letter of explanation, but the words come out flat, excuses that even he can't believe. He closes the laptop, rubbing his temples, the silence pressing in. The desk, once a symbol of his control, now feels like a monument to what's been lost. Whitlock realizes that every decision, every dismissal, every moment he looked away has led to this quiet exile. He is left with nothing but the memory of his own inaction, the world outside his window moving forward without him. The teacher's lounge is unusually quiet as staff file in, eyes drawn to the bulletin board where a new memo hangs. The headline is bold. Effective immediately. Suspensions for minor offenses are discontinued. Teachers gather in small groups, reading in silence, the weight of the change settling over them. Some exchange relieved glances, a few shifting uneasily, unsure what this means for their routines. Ms. Thompson stands near the coffee pot, her smile gentle but proud, remembering Amara's courage and the long nights spent copying files, hoping for this very moment. A young teacher, Mr. Patel, reads the memo twice, then turns to Ms. Thompson. "Do you think it'll last?" he asks quietly. She nods, voice steady. "It has to. They can't pretend not to see anymore." Across the room, a veteran teacher frowns, arms folded, but says nothing. The air is thick with unspoken questions, but also with something new possibility. In the hallway, students cluster by lockers, words spreading fast. "Did you hear? Amara did that." The phrase passes from mouth to mouth, part rumor, part celebration. Malik grins, bumping fists with a friend. Even the principal's daughter, Lily, lingers by the door, listening, her face softer than before. Back in the lounge, Ms. Thompson takes a copy of the memo next to a photo of Amara holding her medal. She steps back, surveying the board a record of change, not just words on paper. The teachers disperse, some still skeptical, but most carrying a quiet sense of hope. The system hasn't roared, but it has shifted, and everyone can feel it. As the bell rings and the lounge empties, Ms. Thompson lingers a moment longer, letting herself believe that this time the change will hold. The hallway is alive with footsteps, and hushed voices as students gather around the trophy case. For the first time, Amara's medal sits among the school's prized trophies, its gold surface catching the light. The glass still bears faint cracked scars from years of exclusion, but now those lines shimmer in the sunlight, framing her achievement instead of hiding it. Amara stands close, her fingers pressed to the cool glass, eyes shining as she sees her name etched beside the others. Malik stands at her side, his hand on her shoulder, pride radiating from his smile. A group of students presses their palms to the case, leaving smudges and fingerprints that join Amara's. They see themselves in the reflection, their faces mingling with the medals and ribbons, the mural's red fist painted boldly on the wall behind them. Ms. Thompson watches from a few steps away, her arms crossed but her expression soft, knowing this moment is the result of so many small acts of courage. Lily lingers nearby, her gaze lingering on the spot where her father's name once was. She looks at Amara, offering a nod of respect, no words needed. Teachers pause as they pass, some with quiet smiles, others with thoughtful frowns, all aware that something fundamental has shifted. As the crowd thins, Amara steps back, taking in the full view. The cracks in the glass are still there, but now they let the light in, illuminating every name and every victory. The trophy case, once a symbol of exclusion, now reflects a community changed by truth and resilience. The hallway feels brighter, the air lighter, as if the whole school is breathing easier. Amara's medal gleams, not just as a prize, but as a promise that no one will be left out again. Whitlock walks through the quiet streets, his steps heavy and measured. Neighbors cross to the other side, their eyes avoiding his. Conversations hush as he passes, the weight of his fall pressing down like an invisible shroud. Children glance up briefly, then quickly look away, sensing the shift in the air. The humiliation is not loud, but it lingers, a shadow that follows him home. He pauses at a corner, watching a group of parents chatting. Their voices drop to whispers. As he approaches, the warmth in their eyes replaced by cold distance. A woman tightens her grip on her child's hand, pulling them closer. Whitlock's jaw tightens, the silence around him thick and unyielding. At a small cafe, he orders a coffee. The baristas smile polite but distant. The cup feels heavier in his hands than it should, the steam rising like a reminder of what's been lost. He stares out the window, watching passers-by who don't meet his gaze. The world moves on, but he remains a figure out of place, a relic of a system unraveling. His phone buzzes with messages he doesn't open. Each notification is a reminder of the decisions that led here, the voices he ignored, the truths he buried. He scrolls through old photos, faces of staff and students, the mural before the red fist. The memories sting, a quiet reckoning. He remembers the meetings where his voice was the loudest, the decisions made behind closed doors, the faces he chose not to see. Each step echoes with the weight of those moments, the quiet unraveling of his influence. The streetlights cast long shadows, mirroring the cracks spreading through the system he once controlled. A passerby glances at him, recognition flickering in their eyes before they look away, discomfort plain on their face. Whitlock's breath catches, a tightness in his chest. He pulls his coat tighter as if to shield himself from the judgment that feels as cold as the night air. At a bus stop, a group of teenagers laugh, their voices carrying. One looks his way, eyes sharp and unyielding. Whitlock looks down, the laughter fading into a distant echo. The city moves forward, but he is left behind, a man marked by his own choices. He reaches his front door, hesitates, then steps inside. The silence greets him like an old friend, heavy and familiar. He sets his keys down slowly, the sound loud in the quiet house. The walls seem to close in, the weight of his fall settling deep. The classroom door swings open, sunlight spilling, in and catching dust motes that drift lazily in the air. Ms. Thompson stands at the threshold, her smile warm and steady as she welcomes a new student. a black girl with bright, hopeful eyes and hands gripping her backpack straps. The room feels different now, lighter and more open, as if the walls themselves have shifted to make space for something new. Students glance up from their desks, some curious, others offering small smiles of encouragement. The new girl hesitates, then steps forward, her shoes quiet on the tile. Ms. Thompson gestures to an empty desk by the window, her voice gentle. "But sure, you're welcome here. Every voice matters in this room." The girl nods, a shy smile flickering across her face as she settles into her seat. Whispers ripple through the class, but there's no malice, just curiosity and the quiet thrill of change. Malik, sitting near the back, catches the new girl's eye and gives a subtle nod of support. He leans over to his friend and whispers, "This is what Amara fought for." The teacher moves to the front, her posture relaxed but purposeful, ready to guide her students into a new chapter. On the bulletin board, Amara's photo and medal shine beside the new policy memo, a silent reminder of what's possible when someone refuses to be erased. As Ms. Thompson begins the lesson, the new girl listens intently, her nerves easing with each passing moment. The classroom hums with possibility, the air charged with hope and the promise of belonging. The bell rings, signaling the start of something different, a future where every student knows their place is earned, not given by favor but by right. The door closes gently behind the new student, not as a barrier but as an invitation. Here you are seen, here you belong. The hallway is alive with laughter and the scrape of ladders as students gather beneath the mural, paint cans open and brushes ready. This time, the red fist rises with the school's blessing, not in secret, but in celebration. Amara stands nearby, watching as Malik dips his brush into crimson paint, his strokes bold and sure. Lily, her sleeves rolled up, works beside him, her hands stained red. She glances at Amara, a genuine smile breaking through the uncertainty that once shadowed her face. Teachers pause between classes, some snapping photos, others quietly observing. Ms. Thompson stands with arms folded, pride shining in her eyes as she watches her students reclaim the wall. The principal's office door remains closed, but no one looks that way anymore. The mural becomes a living symbol, each layer of paint a testament to resistance, pain, and hope that refuses to be erased. A group of freshmen add their handprints, along the bottom, giggling as they press their palms to the wall. "It's ours now," one whispers, and the words ripple through the crowd. The air is thick with the scent of paint and the energy of something permanent being made right. Even those who once doubted now stand back, letting the new mural claim its place. Lily steps away, examining her work, her hands red to the wrists. She wipes her brow, leaving a streak of color across her forehead, and laughs. Amara joins her, both girls looking up at the finished fist, proud and unyielding. The mural, once a target for erasure, now stands as a beacon, impossible to ignore. As the last brush is set down, the students step back, admiring their work. The red fist glows against the brick, a promise that this story, their story, will never be painted over again. Amara stands quietly in the hallway, her reflection mingling with sunlight on the trophy case. Students pass by in waves, their voices softer, their laughter lighter than before. She watches them move, noticing the way they pause at the mural, at her medal, at the bulletin board where the new policy hangs. A group of freshmen stop to read the memo, one whispering, "It's different now." Another student, someone Amara barely knows, offers her a nod as he walks past. A small gesture, but it lands with unexpected warmth. Ms. Thompson passes through, arms full of papers, and gives Amara a gentle smile. Malik rushes by, late for class, but not before he flashes her a thumbs up. Even Lily, once hesitant and unsure, walks the hall with her head high, her gaze meeting Amara's with gratitude and relief. The walls, once covered in old victories and silent exclusions, now echo with new stories and the subtle promise of belonging. Amara lingers by the trophy case, her fingers brushing the glass. The metal inside catches the light. a quiet reminder of everything that's changed. She thinks of Mr. Ellis, of the flyers, the chalk fists, the moments of fear and courage that brought them here. Change doesn't roar, she thinks. It whispers. The bell rings, and the halls fill with new voices, laughter swirling around her like a gentle wind. As students flood the corridor, Amara steps back, letting herself be part of the current. The school feels lighter, the future less impossible. She smiles at her own reflection, the medal shining beside her, and walks forward, ready to write the next chapter. The story is no longer just "here it belongs to everyone who believed that." Dignity could outlast injustice, and that hope, once spoken, can never be silenced.